That's goofy.
Hey everybody, welcome into Folklore and Flourish. You're here with Jane and Mark over at Blue Box 29. Today is February 25th, Love Beyond Life, week 4 of the month of Sacred Bonds, the Beloved in the Binder. Today is all about the protection. Our theme is that love guards fiercely. So today is the protection. As we're nearing the end of February, we are looking at love guarding fiercely. So our 4 stories are going to come from Egyptian, Norse, Chinese, and Yoruba traditions. So we'll see you after these 4 stories. Before we begin, I want to take a moment to honor the cultures behind the stories we are about to explore. The tales shared here come from many peoples, lands, and traditions. I do not change these stories to fit modern expectations or to align with today's social standards. Instead, I present them as they were told, sometimes beautiful, sometimes harsh, sometimes challenging. We are not here to judge the past, but to understand it, to listen, to learn, and to honor the ancestors who carried these stories forward. We also share stories from various religious traditions. These are presented in their historical and spiritual context, with respect for their beliefs that they represent. Every culture deserves respect, context, and acknowledgement. And this space is dedicated to doing exactly that. Story 1. Isis protects Horus. When Osiris was murdered by his brother Set, his body scattered across the Nile's length. The kingdom did not simply lose a king. It lost its balance. It lost its promise. And yet, in the quiet marshes of the Delta, something remained alive that Set could not extinguish. Isis. Wife, queen, sorceress, mother. She gathered the pieces of Osiris from river reeds and desert sand, reassembled him through devotion and incantation, and conceived a son from a love that had already crossed the boundary of death. Horus was not merely a child. He was continuity. He was a living answer to violence. He was love made future. Set understood this, so Isis hid. She fled into the papyrus thickets, nursing Horus beneath woven reeds while crocodiles slid silently through dark water. She whispered spells into the air when scorpions crept too close. She called upon serpents to stand guard and invoked the gods when fever seized the child's small body. Over and over, danger approached. Over and over, she intervened. Horus was stung by venom once, and his body went still. The marsh held its breath. Isis did not surrender to grief. She called to Ra himself, halting the sun in its journey across the sky, until divine light answered her cry. The poison was drawn out. Breath returned. The future resumed. Her protection was not rage, it was endurance. Years passed in concealment. Horus grew in strength beneath her watch, learning patience before he learned battle. When at last he confronted Set to reclaim the throne, he did so because he had been preserved long enough to become who he was meant to be. Isis did not defeat Set in combat. She did something far more powerful. She ensured that love survived him. Osiris remained in the Duat as Lord of the Dead, but his lineage continued above the earth. Horus ascended as rightful king. The throne was restored not through vengeance, but through guarded devotion. In Egyptian thought, kingship itself became a reflection of this protection. Every pharaoh was called Horus, the living continuation of a divine inheritance. And Isis stood eternally beside them in temple walls and carved reliefs, her wings extended, sheltering. Her love crossed death. Her protection shaped history. Her vigilance preserved a kingdom. Love did not prevent loss. It outlived it. Story 2. Skadi guards her oath. When Skadi, daughter of the giant Thazi, came to Asgard, she did not arrive as a bride. She arrived in armor. Her father had been slain by the gods of the Aesir, and she crossed from Jotunheim, the land of giants, to demand recompense. Snow still clung to her boots when she entered the golden halls. She did not weep. She demanded justice. The gods prepared for conflict, but Skadi did not seek endless war. She sought balance. The Aesir offered terms. To prevent bloodshed between realms, they would grant her compensation. She could choose a husband from among them, but only by looking at his feet. They would also place her father's eyes in the sky as stars so that his presence would not vanish from the world. And they would attempt to make her laugh to soften the severity of grief. Skadi agreed. She examined the line of gods carefully. She believed the most beautiful feet must belong to Baldir, radiant and beloved. Instead, when the veils were lifted, she found herself standing before Njord, god of the sea and winds. He was not who she expected, but she had spoken. And in Norse culture, a spoken oath was not light breath and cold air. It was binding. Oaths were sworn upon sacred rings and before witnesses. To break one without cause was to fracture trust itself. So Skadi honored the agreement and married Njord. They attempted to dwell together, dividing their time. 9 nights they spent in the mountains of Thrymheim, Skadi's homeland, where wolves howled and the skis carved across frozen slopes. 9 nights they lived at Noatun, Njord's sea hall, where gulls cried and waves struck the shore. Neither thrived in the other's world. The sea's constant noise disturbed Skadi. The salt wind felt foreign. Njord, in turn, found the mountain silence oppressive. The wolves' cries unsettled him. Snow chilled his bones. Their union strained, but here lies Skadi's protection. She did not lash out. She did not return to Asgard demanding vengeance for dissatisfaction. She accepted what was true. They would dwell apart, yet the agreement that prevented war remained intact. Her father's eyes shone in the heavens. Peace between Aesir and giant kind endured. The fragile bond forged from bloodshed did not collapse. Skadi guarded something larger than marriage. She guarded honor. In the north, survival depended upon trust in one's word. Winters were harsh. Alliances were necessary. If vows dissolved whenever comfort waned, society would fracture as surely as ice and thaw. Skadi chose integrity over resentment. She returned to her mountains, goddess of winter and hunt, sovereign in snow. Njord returned to his sea. Their separation did not unravel the pact that had ended vengeance. Love beyond life, in this story, does not cling to what cannot thrive. It protects the sacredness of the promise itself. Her father's memory burned in starlight. The peace between worlds held, and Skadi remained unbroken. 3. Guan Yin protects the children. In Chinese Buddhist tradition, protection does not always arrive with thunder. Sometimes it arrives in compassion. Guan Yin, whose name means she who hears the cries of the world, was once known in earlier Sanskrit tradition as Avaloki Teshvara. Over centuries, devotion transformed this bodhisattva into a maternal figure of mercy within East Asia. Guan Yin does not rule through force. She listens. When parents fear for their children, when illness strikes, when storms rise at sea, when danger approaches unseen, her name is spoken. Her protection is invoked in temples, whispered in homes, carried in amulets. One of the most beloved legend tales of Princess Miao Shan, a mortal woman who refused royal luxury to pursue compassion. Her father, angered by her rejection of marriage and power, ordered her execution. Yet heaven intervened. She survived death. She chose instead to alleviate suffering wherever it appeared. In time, Miao Shan became Guan Yin. Her love did not end with her body. It expanded beyond it. Stories tell of Guan Yin appearing in many forms: mother, monk, fisherman, child, wherever protection is needed. In one tale, a child is lost in a raging river. The current pulls fiercely. The family calls her name. A white-robed figure is seen upon the water. The child is found safe along the bank, untouched by harm. In another legend, famine strikes a village. Mothers cannot feed their infants. Guan Yin appears in a dream, instructing them where to dig. They uncover a hidden spring. Water flows again. Life resumes. Her protection is not always dramatic rescue. It is preservation of future. In Chinese iconography, Guan Yin is often depicted holding a child or a willow branch dipped in pure water. The willow bends without breaking. The water heals without violence. She guards the vulnerable. She stands between fragility and destruction. Unlike Isis, who hid her son from a murderous god, Guan Yin's guardianship is universal. She protects not one lineage, but all who call. Her love extends beyond biological motherhood into boundless compassion. In temples across China, Taiwan, and East Asia, incense rises daily before her image. Parents pray for their children's health. Sailors ask for safe passage. The suffering ask for relief. And devotion persists. Dynasties rise and fall, governments shift. Yet Guan Yin remains among the most venerated figures in Chinese religious life. Her protection transcends death because it is not confined to one era. It is invoked across generations. In her story, love beyond life is mercy that does not exhaust itself. It listens, it answers, it shelters, and in doing so, it ensures that the vulnerable endure long enough to become tomorrow's strength. Story 4. Oshun defends the lovers. In the Yoruba tradition of West Africa, love is not fragile. It is sacred power. Oshun, Orisha of fresh waters, beauty, fertility, and devotion, is often associated with sweetness. Honey, gold, flowing rivers. But beneath her gentleness is fierce guardianship. She does not simply inspire affection, she protects it. In early Yoruba cosmology, when the supreme creator, Olodumare, sent the Orishas to shape the world, many of the male deities dismissed Oshun's role. They believed strength and authority alone could build creation. They were wrong. Without Oshun, nothing flourished. Rivers dried, crops withered, harmony fractured, the world refused to grow. Only when they sought her forgiveness and honored her presence did balance return. Water flowed again, life resumed. Love, fertility, and relational harmony required her blessing. In later stories, Oshun defends lovers directly. When jealousy, betrayal, or spiritual interference threatens union, she stands between the bond and its destruction. Devotees pray to her at riverbanks, offering honey and flowers her to guard marriages, restore intimacy, or protect unborn children. But Oshun's protection is not blind indulgence. She defends what is sincere. In one telling, a couple torn apart by manipulation and gossip seeks her help. Oshun does not simply reunite them. She exposes the falsehood that divided them. She reveals truth before restoring affection. Love must be protected, but it must also be purified. In Yoruba belief, rivers are living forces, cleanse emotional wounds, and shield against spiritual harm. Women pray to her during pregnancy for safe delivery. Lovers call her name when they fear external forces may sever what they have built. Her protection extends beyond a single life. Children born under her blessing are believed to carry her sweetness and resilience forward. Communities celebrate her annually during the Osun Osogbo festival in Nigeria, where thousands gather at her sacred grove, reaffirming devotion that has survived colonization, displacement, and centuries of change. Unlike Isis, who hid her child in marshes, or Guan Yin, who answers cries of distress, Oshun protects through relational balance. She ensures that love does not rot from neglect or die from outside interference. She guards affection as a force that sustains community. In Yoruba understanding, love is not private possession. It is spiritual alignment. If it is harmed, imbalance spreads outward. So Shun intervenes. She sweetens hardened hearts. She shields pregnancies. She strengthens bonds threatened by envy or spiritual attack. Her protection flows like water, persistent, adaptable, life-giving. Love beyond life, in her tradition, is not only survival after death, it is continuity of tenderness through generations. Rivers carve landscapes over time. Oshun's devotion carves futures. And wherever her waters move, love is guarded fiercely. Hey everybody, welcome back in. Hope you enjoyed those 4 stories of love guarding fiercely. We are in the final week of our month all about love. We are going to see love throughout the rest of the year, but we got it all month long. We are reaching the end of this month. We are on week 4, Love Beyond Life. Okay, so we saw these 4 stories. The lesson is that love defends what matters. Okay, love defends what matters. The daily thread for today is that protection is love standing between harm, what it has chosen. Isis guarded Horus so that justice and kingship could survive death. Skadi upheld her oath so the peace between worlds would not fracture. Guan Yin listens for the vulnerable and shields them with boundless mercy. Oshun preserves lovers and unborn futures through devotion that flows forward. What do you love enough to defend even when no one is watching? Love guards fiercely when it refuses to abandon what it has claimed. It's cool to think of love being and guarding fiercely to what it's claimed. Like love claims things.
Right.
And the misinterpretation I think that a lot of us humans have is by claiming it, it claims like the responsibility of protecting it, of guarding it. It doesn't claim ownership, possession itself. It's the responsibility that comes with it, you know, and we see that here in the full force of that protection,
Right.
both individually, categorically, or just all around the world without bounds. So that was pretty cool today. So with the lesson, the love defends what matters, going back to our first story, Isis defending. I like this too because we saw more of Horus growing up. You know, we see that she was hiding him, so she's in with the crocodile. She's in with all this scary stuff. Yes, she's a deity, but they're showing that she went to any length to protect him. You know, nothing was beneath her. You know, nothing's beneath protecting what you value and love. You know, you'll go to any lengths, and her as the wife, queen, sorceress, mother, she did that. And it's kind of cool that murdered his brother, Osiris, who was the king, but he couldn't stop Osiris's wife. Like that was the one he truly feared, you know, or respected. And here's why. So the important note is that Isis does not protect Horus only for herself. She protects the continuation of justice and rightful order. In her story, maternal devotion becomes cosmic preservation, showing that love beyond life is not sentimental but sovereign. I think that this also shows that protecting people until they're strong enough to rise and like protect themselves and protect others, especially when you see their potential. I think a lot of that shows in like bullies. You know, sometimes you got to protect people until they're big enough and strong enough, wise enough to protect themselves and protect others, you know? And it costs us sometimes, you know, more dearly than others. And that's what this story reminds us of. Okay, story 2. Skadi guards her oath. This is the Norse one. We've seen it before too, where they made the oath. She thought it was Baldir and it wasn't. It was Njord. They made the oath. They came from very vastly different things and places, and it wasn't going to work, but they made that oath through anything. And so they lived apart, but they never were with anyone else. She protected the oath through the distance. No, because she wouldn't have, and he wouldn't have if they stayed, because they would have been uncomfortable in there, being in the opposite worlds. I mean, they were uneasy. Yeah. It wasn't just that it was different, it made them uneasy. You know, they weren't feeling good at all. And Skadi's love protects through integrity rather than possession. Love defends the vow that prevented renewed war, even when the marriage shifts form. In her story, love beyond life measures safeguarding honor so that peace can endure. A lot of the time, that joining of two people, it's not just two people. A lot of the time, most of the time, it's everybody that's at your wedding, right? Everybody that's at your ceremony, everybody in your community is impacted by that. And sometimes it's kind of like when you see those couples that they stay together for the sake of their children, but they aren't like rude or aggressive towards each other. You know, it's just, it is what it is.
It's almost like a business.
But we can't separate right now. We won't be able to afford it, and it will impact these other people. It's not all right. Just like them. They weren't aggressive or anything. They tried it. And just separated, you know, peaceful, and just the vow remained.
Yeah, and that's okay too. If that's what it
No, it
needs to be.
absolutely is. And this is, of course, showcasing through this folklore the importance of the vow and the importance of marriage, not just like how important it is to be married, not like that, but how important it is to understand the terms of marriage and understand the terms of your partner, because your personality comes with terms, you require certain things to give certain things. In order to be happy, to be encouraging, to lead, you require like that support, that understanding, and that patience. And I know that patience is something that I struggle with. I get told like at least once a day, patience, my young jackass. But I am approaching it a lot better. And I'm trying to consciously be aware of that. I'm trying to really focus on it the most. So when I'm really angry, that's when I'm focusing on it the most.
Right.
But
It's probably the best advice I've ever gotten is patience, and something I practice and try to, and still get humbled often about how impatient I truly am. And I think, man, you're a pretty patient person. And then I'm like, oh, well, maybe not as.
my mom and I went through that one time where she broke down some of the things that were bothering me, big picture wise, what was bothering me. And it all came back to a few things, but patience and like self-forgiveness were two of the main ones, but patience. It was my impatience over certain things or just life itself. The stress, you write anxiety, stress, depression, that's all different parts of patience. Stressing about the past is a lot about self-forgiveness. Having anxiety about the future, same thing.
Well,
So,
not what causes it. There's that saying, and I love to say it is, I don't know who originally said it, and I do need to look it up because I do like to quote it, is to live in the past is to live with depression. To live in the future is to live with anxiety. To live in the present is to live, I think, with freedom.
I like that.
That's kind of right. Yeah. But I believe it's to live in living in the present is to live in freedom or something like that. But
Right.
it's like one of the best quotes I think there is.
That leads to, there was something in this story that I thought, like, wow, I really loved that idea that honoring the vow, honoring the oath does not mean that you are honoring anything false or that you are living under false pretenses, right? Like how we were just saying, like those couples that we've seen, it's over romantically. It is a business right now, a partnership kind of deal. That's honestly makes it better a lot of the time when I've seen those things. Just that straightforward, we're in this for this limited time to keep the peace and then we're going to separate. But that's what it is. We're not going to lie about it. We're not going to fake kiss each other or anything, in front of you guys to the kids.
Right.
It's a honest conversation. And sometimes honesty is acknowledging that we can't do it anymore. That doesn't mean that one side's right or one side's wrong. A lot of the times it's absolutely valid.
Yep.
On both accounts.
They were needed for what they served their purpose for within your journey of your part of your life. And now it's time to move on. And maybe that's what you chose before you ever came down here and you didn't even know it.
Right.
Now you're going through it and just allow it. Look at the beauty in it. And look what God is giving you.
Right.
With the opportunities you have now.
So speaking of God is giving you, so in story 3, heaven directly intervenes, right? So I'm not saying like they were saying God, I'm saying heaven. Heaven intervenes, and when the dad had his daughter executed because she wasn't gonna do what he told her to, heaven intervened and said, no, like there's some about her. She serves a bigger purpose. And they're like, well, yeah, so she does need to die because she serves a bigger purpose. Yeah. And she protects the vulnerable, the children, right? So it's saying how in some legends, if famine strikes a village, mothers can't feed their infants. She'll arrive in dreams to help the mother and say, here, search here, dig here. So her protection is rooted in compassion rather than conquest. Her love extends beyond bloodline into universal care for the vulnerable. In her tradition, love beyond life is mercy that guards the future through preservation. It doesn't matter who you are. If you need help and you ask for her and you're vulnerable, she'll arrive. And oftentimes, it's through signs, because that's how we can get those kind of messages. We just had to be open to hearing them. And so she, through her remaining true to who she was and protecting what she valued, she was able to cross over into the other world and pass between realms, protect, protect, protect. Story 4. Okay, story 4, Oshun defends a lover. So this is the Orisha that was rejected or not listened to, and then they had to go to her because they needed her to have the world flourish, right? So in this one, we get to see what happens in later stories. So Oshun defends lovers directly. So where the last one defended the vulnerable, mothers and children in the previous story, Oshun is defending the unborn children, so the pregnant and lovers themselves. So from jealousy, betrayal, or spiritual interferences, Oshun is protecting lovers. It would be, when I was listening to this, I thought about, dang, I wish there was an Oshun version in Greek mythology
There might be.
that would have protected lovers. And so I wonder, I haven't. So I do want to look, and I probably will right after this episode. But yeah, I did think about that right away. So yeah, she just protects people, and you can call her name. Lots of people pray to her. She encapsulates tenderness through generations. That's what she's not encapsulates, encompassing. So she's leading us to be generous through the generations. Oshun's protection defends relational harmony as sacred inheritance. She guards love not as sentiment, but as spiritual force that sustains community. In her story, love beyond life flows forward through generations like a river that does not dry. So protecting the foundation, right? Lovers and all that comes from them. Because the love of two people really creates huge benefits, huge love and support, like spread and spread and spread beyond just them. And so by protecting lovers, you're protecting communities. And that's what she's doing, is by protecting one bond here, one bond here, one bond here, one bond here, you're actually strengthening.
Yeah, especially when you're if your protection is to make sure the bond is to stay together. To stay together, not only to stay together, but to be a bond that is strength because it is together around. So every single bond that she's holding together just makes this whole community just super strong because of those unities. And if that's what she's doing, yeah,
100% she is. 100% she is. So with those 4 stories, love guarding fiercely, love defending what matters, we see love defending what matters fiercely through individual bonds, right? Through the hope of future, some through what is vulnerable now. So what needs help now? And then others are, how can we help others push the healing forward too? So protection can go in many shapes, different shapes and forms, and none of them are right or wrong. Me loving one individual person fiercely and protecting them over the sake of the community does not make me wrong, just like vice versa. So that's something too. So as you think about that, our reflection question is, who would I shield?
Okay.
So who would I shield? Not what, nothing else. Who? Okay. So today we're going to stand still as if guarding something precious and name silently what we protect. So we're going to stand still as if we are guarding something very precious to us. And we're going to silently name what it is that we protect. That's our task for today. And we're going to walk away remembering and thinking about how love defends what matters by refusing to abandon it. Right. We defend effortlessly until we can't, not until we almost can't. It's until we can. We stand there till the end. That's the stuff that's truly loved by us, So today, who would I shield? We're going to stand still as if we are guarding something precious and name what we are willing to protect. So thank you guys for coming in. That's it for February 23 more days of February.
Oh my God.
3 more days of winter. And then we're going to be in the warmth, and then the heat, and then the fall.
Why should it get so fast into cold again?
Hey,
There was like the heat and
We
then
are
the
going to
fall.
be cold the whole fall. We're by the fire quite a bit. We're by the heat quite a bit, but cooler. Anyways, thanks for joining us today. See you
Okay,
guys.
guys, see you later.